There we go. Now I got the microphone unmuted. Hello again, everybody. Whoa, mic's in the camera. Oh, let's get that out of the way. Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am back at you with another Wargaming Wednesday. It's weekly, 11 a.m. on Wednesday. We do just a Wargaming live stream where I talk about what's on the table. I talk about what new projects I'm working on. We talk about wargaming in general, like wargaming news that might be out there. Basically anything you guys want to talk about, we can talk about as well. And last week we even talked a little bit about role-playing games, philosophy and mentality of some of the players. But as you can see, I've got a bunch of second, is it a battalion? Second Rangers. And I am putting the finishing touches on their bases. Last night I went ahead and did the texturing of the bases. You can't see that. It's not focused, but we got some texturing, and now I'm going in and putting a little bit of this grass green on there. And so I've got my Elmer's and water mixture that I use. It's about 2-part Elmer or 1-part water. It's an approximation. It's never, I don't use a measuring cup or anything to figure it all out. I just kind of eyeball it. I'd love to show you guys these up close because these guys came out really good. I don't know if you can see that, but you got his 2nd Ranger Battalion. Here, let's adjust the focus. Whoops, just passed it up, but that's all right. We got the 2nd Ranger Battalion shoulders. On some of these guys without the nets, you can see the 2nd Battalion, the back of the helmet. Bless you. Okay, so what I'll do is whoa, the focus is way off. Okay, sorry guys. I should have fixed it. Okay, let me break it again. There we go. Yeah, normally what I'll do is I'll sprinkle the grass on, shake off any excess, but then I'll let it sit there for an hour or two, and then I'll come back in and knock off any loose grass. So it's basically kind of like a 2-step process. So I just shake off whatever doesn't normally stick to the glue and go down. Now, depending on if I was using static grass, I would not shake it off. I would just let it soak. But because I'm using the Army Painter grass green, yeah. I don't need to do that. These are all a commission, and I've been working on them for a week or two. If you're here at the last show, you would have seen these had basically just the basic coat on them, but now they're fini. They just need their basing. What? Okay, I thought I heard her say this hurt. Maybe she bumped her knee against something. Yeah, so this is all a commission for a... Oh, wait, we got some comments. Hey, Charles, good morning. And Jim, thank you, I appreciate it. I'd love to take these and bring them up close, but, and I probably will. I'll probably do a close-up of these because I'm kind of proud of them, actually. This customer, he's a good customer of mine. He does a lot of, I do a lot of work for him, so he must like my work. So that's a good thing. I've got a couple of other commissions pending over there. Some Napoleonics, I think and some Hungarians, believe it or not. I got some Hungarians and some Napoleonics, not all from the same customer, obviously, but okay, so there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about today, and this is only part of it, but yeah, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. My Plastic Soldier Company box came in a couple of days ago. I'm super happy that I got it, and I got it in, and you know, the inventory and everything, but the way it was packaged, or the way it was packed, was fine. I mean, there's no, I hope this doesn't come across as a negative, but it is. It's kind of a negative, but I don't mean it to be. It's not earth-shattering or anything like that. It's just that some of the boxes of the product, like the SS Grenadiers that came in a box inside the big box, the box was crushed. If I was a standard brick and mortar style store, I would probably have to mark that product down. You know, because if I put it on the shelf, the box looks crushed. You know? But luckily, I'm an eBay store, and I can just say, you know, the contents are all intact and everything's good, and I can just put in the in the description, hey, the box is a little crushed, you know, but I'm sure you're not buying the miniatures because of the box, you know. Got a lot of good stuff, and what I was going to do today is kind of open that up and bring that over to show you each individual piece as I got, because I'm excited. It's my first shipment from Plastic Soldier as one of their retailers, you know, and it's a fairly huge order in my, well, it's large. Let me just say it's large. It's not huge. It's not huge. It's large. About half of it, maybe not half, maybe a third of it. A third of it is 1/72nd or 20 millimeter. And those are what's the word I'm looking for? They're for the store, obviously, but I also am excited to paint and base some 1/72nd scale guys for Battle Group, and maybe keeping some 1/72nd as my own personal group. But I also I don't know, because I feel like Battle Group, which is a World War II set that I'm excited to play, I feel like it's not really a man-to-man game. I feel like it's a company level game, maybe even a battalion scale game, and not a platoon scale game. You know how, like, I don't know, bolt action, like these guys, right? These are 28 millimeter. Bolt action is more of a platoon level game where you got about 30 guys. You might have one tank, maybe one half track, an armor, an anti-tank gun, that kind of stuff. You don't have like platoons of tanks, and I mean, they have a version of the game called Tank War or something like that. You can play it that way, but it's really designed for about 30 infantry, a couple of buildings, maybe a smaller objectives. And when I think of World War II battles, I don't think of platoons. I think companies were larger. Like, let's say Pegasus Bridge, right? You got 6 platoons. You don't have just one platoon. Try to imagine playing bolt action with 120 guys on just the British side. Their platoons are only about 25, 27, something like that. So imagine 25, or hell, just say 20 times 6 gliders, or 5 gliders, because one of them missed the target anyway. So let's just say 5 gliders. That's 100 dudes. It's actually supposed to be like 120, but let's just say 100 dudes in bolt action. That's an all-day event. That's not what the game is designed to play. Okay, let's think of another small engagement. Walk on the Battle of the Bulge. Let's say Buchholz train station, where I think it was B103. I think. My mind is. You can Google it for me and maybe look it up for me. But there was a couple of platoons of engineers defending a train station, and they had like an M16 platoon with them, battery, I guess is what you would call it. That might be something you could play with bolt action, but not really, right? I mean, bolt action is designed to be played with much smaller numbers of troops. And also, this is kind of what I'm getting at. When you're playing 28 millimeter on a 4-foot wide table, the range and scale of the battle doesn't lend itself to anything more than about a platoon. So what you wind up doing is justifying why there's only a platoon on the table. You say something like, this is only part of the battle. The other part is taking place, you know, just off map or just off table. And that is how you justify limitation of space. Right? Right. I don't want to do that. I don't want to justify limitation of space. I want the battles to represent what actually took place. Or, let me rephrase that. I want to be able to influence the entire battle and not just my little portion of it. So, you have to seek out a different game, you know, and Bolt Action is a great game. I love the game. I love the figures. I love the scale. I love everything about Bolt Action. Except it doesn't accommodate what I need out of a war game. Now, Battle Group is a man-to-man game, but it's streamlined in a way. It goes quickly, is what I'm trying to say. The game flows extremely fast. Yeah, so you know how, like in Bolt Action, right? You've got, I compared to Bolt Action because these are the two World War II games that I really enjoy. Bolt Action's got order dice, right? And every unit on your side has a die in the dice bag. Every unit. And every unit of your opponent has a die in the dice bag, which I think is a really cool concept, really cool. It's ingenious, you know, how to, you never know who's going to get to go next. You don't know if you're going to get 2 orders in a row, or your opponent might get 2 orders in a row, etc. And I really like that because it kind of keeps you on your toes. It also forces you to pay attention to the turn, so you can't just say, okay, my turn's over, I'm going to go get a beer and I'll be back. No, because your turn is never over. I think it's really good about that, right? But what that also means is every unit on your side gets a turn every turn, which I don't oppose that. I don't oppose that, but it does mean that your turn takes an amount of time. And some tournaments limit how many order dice you're allowed to have for a couple of reasons. One is time, and the other is manipulation or metagaming. You're manipulating the dice pool to get more orders so you have a higher percentage chance of acting. And I think that is a legitimate strategy and should not be limited because of that reason, right? Because I think if you're a good player and you go to tournaments and you feel that that is a viable strategy, then go for it. You know, do it. Make it happen. If you feel like, you know, you want to have a bunch of small units running around because it'll give you more dice and you feel like that's important, I say do it. You know, but the problem is some people will come in with 20 or 30 dice. Yes, they will come in with 20 or 30 dice. And that just takes forever to draw all those dice out, taking your turns. It just means the game, like one turn, takes like an hour. And that's just not viable in a recreative war game. So what Battle Group does is everybody doesn't get a turn. You roll a number of dice based on how big the battle is. Like a platoon level game, you're going to roll 2d6. Right? It doesn't matter if you've got a bunch of small units or if you got a bunch of big units. You're rolling 2d6. Period. And that's how many orders you get. Now, as a viable strategy, when designing your army, you might add officers because they give you a +1 to your orders. But a +1, a couple of officers, you know, +2, you know. You have a company, you might have 3 or 4 officers, so +3, let's say. Okay, wait, we're playing platoon level? Right. So you're getting 2 dice? Right, so you probably have 1 officer. So you're probably getting 8 actions per turn. Because 7 from the 2 dice and then +1. 8 actions. And they're going to go quickly. You're going to say, okay, I'll move this guy twice. Dun, dun. I shoot this guy twice. Roll some dice. You know, and you just go through your actions and you're done. And it's pretty quick. Now your opponent rolls and he might roll snake eyes. +1. He only gets 3 actions. Bump, bump, bump. He's done. You know, but it averages out to about 8. If you're rolling a company, you know, you get 3 platoons on the table, let's say. You're only rolling 3 dice. Plus maybe 4. So you're getting about a 10, or we'll go generous and say 11 on the die roll. +4. So you only get 15 actions for 3 platoons. So it should be enough to move everybody. But depending on how you organize your army or whatever, you might not have enough. I mean, if you've got offboard artillery and stuff like that, they need actions as well. So what I'm just trying to say is everybody doesn't get to move every turn. So what that does is it speeds the game up. Because you can't do everything every turn. And I like that in the fact that, remember, you're playing a company, right? So imagine, or a battalion even. Imagine you're the commander. You're not going to be able to coordinate your attacks with everybody on the table. You know, you just don't have enough brain power. You don't have enough radio frequencies. You know, you don't have enough command and control over every single squad, but you can talk to certain platoon commanders and say, hey, move those 3 squads, do this, move that machine gun over there and do that, and kind of give a little guidance. But you would not be able to do that to every unit on the table. So now I understand there's like initiative and individual initiatives and stuff like that. So just imagine that would be a high die roll on your command order. So I'm saying I kind of like the idea that everyone doesn't get to act every turn. I also like the rule, they got this rule in Battle Group where even if you are given an order, you still might not be able to shoot. Because you have to actually observe the enemy. So you got to make a spotting check, and if you fail it, you wasted your order. Well, not wasted it, but it was just a failed attempt. And I like that. What that tells me is somebody above, the platoon leader or whoever, said, okay, shoot the guys that you see, shoot the enemy to your front. And they go, okay, where are they? I can't see them. We were told to do something, but I don't see anybody. I love it. I love that idea. Having been in those situations, I remember this one time. I was in Germany. We were doing a field exercise. Hohenfeld, I think is what it was. Yeah, it's the one where they had the dedicated op for, I think it was Hohenfeld. And our unit was, and by the way, I was in the 509th Airborne Battalion combat team, and we were stationed in Italy, and when I left, they were transitioning to an 82nd Battalion. They were changing it up or whatever. The 4th of the 325, I think, was coming in, taking over. But I was in the 509th, the Doughboys, Geronimo, you know, those guys. And we were deployed up on this hill. And we were looking down in this valley. And we were given an order to fire on the enemy. Now, I was the RTO, so I didn't do a whole lot of shooting. That wasn't my job. My job was to stay on the radio and make sure communications were established and all that jazz. So I received this order: fire on the enemy to your front. And I relayed that to our platoon leader, and he relayed that to our squad leaders, and nobody fired. Why? Because the enemy to our front, we couldn't see. We couldn't see them. We didn't know where they were. They were in this ditch, or there was like a, what do you call it? We were up. Remember, we're up on a hill looking down, and there was a roll in the terrain where, like, the hill was going this way, and then there was like a little dip, and they were in that dip, and there was no way for us to see them. So we're all like, okay, well, as soon as we can see them, we'll shoot them. They were close, you know, they were maybe a couple 100 yards away. But when I read those rules in the battle group rules, I immediately jumped back to that that scenario, that situation that we were in up on that hill. And I'm like, this is legit, you know, this is a good rule. This is a rule that I can get behind. You know, even though you got an order to shoot, you can't just shoot. You gotta be able to see them. And not all dips in the terrain and the way the hills roll and all that stuff can be modeled on the terrain. So this die roll kind of, for spotting, takes into effect that there might be a dip in the hill, you know, so, or they might be behind some bushes and we didn't see them, or there might have been a smoke round, or there might have been dust storm, or whatever that's not modeled in the game. And I was like, you know what? That's legit. I like that. I like that rule. But if we wanted to suppress them, all we had to do was just shoot in that general area. Like if the order came down, just fire into that ditch and just try to keep their heads down. We could have done that. We could have shot over that ditch or in and around that it was not really a ditch. It was the way the hill was. Yeah, and I remember we were overlooking some wire and some minefield that we were supposed to provide. Like if the enemy hit the minefield, we were supposed to shoot at them so they couldn't clear the minefield, or some nonsense. This was like a lot of years ago, so bear with me. I'm probably remembering it incorrectly, but and being the RTO, this is I felt like I knew more about what was going on than my squad leaders, right? Because the platoon leader got a message, but it was usually through me. And so I knew, I was the one speaking usually to the company RTO. You know, I was a platoon RTO, so I was usually the one that had to relay coordinates and stuff like that. I had to, not encrypt it, but this was before the SINGARs. This was when we used to have a manual encryption booklet that we carried around. So we had to actually use pen and paper to encrypt messages and grid coordinates and stuff like that. And by me doing all that, I think I knew more about what was going on than the squad leaders. And definitely the line infantry guys, they didn't know what was going on. They were just listening to what their squad leaders were telling them. And a lot of times, the guys would come to me and they'd say, hey, what's going on? Fill us in with all the, you know, the poop. And I'd be like, yeah, this is the orders we got. And this is, you know, and I'd be basically, you know, telling the guys. I mean, it's not top secret or anything, you know. Okay, I'm flying through this. But I'm not going through it the grass, that is. I'm not going fast enough because I don't want to be doing this entirely on stream. Because I want to get to revealing what's in those boxes. Okay, so let me get back to what I was. I got derailed. The 172nd. Yeah, so I've considered this. Maybe playing some bolt action in 172nd or battle group. I can play battle group in 172nd. It's already a man-to-man game. And if I want to play bigger games, man-to-man, I need a smaller figure scale to be able to get it on the table, right? And that's why I went with 15 millimeter. But my 15 millimeter is not really man-to-man. I mean, it is technically man-to-man, but I have all the figures mounted on multi-bases. You know, 4 or 5 figures per base. So to me, that's not man-to-man. Okay, yeah, it's been 40 minutes already. Oh wait, we got a couple of Charles comments. Let's take a look at those real quick. Okay. These glasses are not set up for reading that chat. These are like for looking like this. So let me get a little closer. Okay, Charles says, dice. In all my games, if I'm rolling and I'm getting constantly 5s and 6s on one die, out it goes. I try to make sure each game has more or less balanced, fair dice. Yeah. Let me read the second comment before I comment on that. If a game has just 1d6, I'll add a second one to speed up rolling. 2d6, add another pair. Same for d20s. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of dice training. There is an old joke that we used to have in our D&D game that if we had like a set of dice that always rolled horribly, we never complained about good die rolls, right? But if we rolled horribly constantly, we would line up all the bad rolling dice, right? And then we would put our other dice on the table next to them so they can see them. And then we would take a hammer to them and smash them. And that was to teach those other dice not to roll like that. Oh my gosh. Did we ever actually do it? No, but we threatened him with it. One guy said that he put his dice in the freezer. That doesn't make sense, but he did it anyway. Yeah, dice. I try not to use. I don't like loaded dice one way or the other, high or low. I like average rolling dice, but I want to roll ones as often as I roll sixes. I don't want to just roll sixes or just roll ones. But sometimes you get those dice that are a little off balance, like you said, and you just get rid of them. I just recently picked up some of those Flames of War division dice. I know, like the 82nd, the 6th Airborne, and the Fallschirmjägers, right? Those are the... There's a spot on my glasses. Okay, I'm going to have to fix that. And I rolled them. I went through a whole open boxing, what's in the box video and everything. And I did this whole thing, and it took me probably about 30 minutes. I got my dice tray out. I rolled them. I compared them. I did all of this nitpicking of how well the dice were rolling. And then I looked up, after it was all said and done, I looked up and saw that I wasn't recording. And so when I did start recording, I skimmed over that part. I said, okay, I've already tested these and they roll pretty good. Well, that's really not true. I only tested them like 2 or 3 times each. So that's not really a good sample of a test. But the Fallschirmjäger dice, they rolled horribly. Mostly ones. The 82nd and the 6th Airborne, they rolled pretty average pretty average. But it was noticeable when I did the Fallschirmjägers. I was like, oh man, these dice are really not rolling very well. But again, I know that was only a very limited sample. It wasn't like I didn't roll them 100 times and then jot down all the die rolls. I only rolled them like 3 times. They come 20 in a package, so I rolled 20 of the dice 3 times. You get it. Yeah, but I looked at the artillery rules. I looked at the shooting rules. I looked at the morale, the how to win the game. Pretty much I've gone over every single rule in Battle Group. I feel like I know the rules inside and out. There's only a few rules in that game, like street fighting and night fighting, that I haven't bothered kind of reading over yet. I was waiting until we got to those sections in my boot camp before I bothered reading those. But movement, shooting, orders, morale, anti-tank fire, artillery. Yeah, all of that stuff is super easy. I mean, I look at it, I looked at the rules and I'm like, these are super complicated rules, you know? But after I read the rules and I kind of just sat down and grasped the concepts that they were going for, these rules are fast and easy, and there's a lot of good concepts that I haven't really seen in some other rules that I fell in love with Battle Group. I can see, I'm afraid now. I'm starting to become a little bit of afraid that I'm going to this convention, right, in August down in Nashville. I got my game session is Saturday morning of the convention. I'm afraid I'm going to set up the table, get all the figures ready to go. The players are going to show up. I'm going to take like 10 minutes to explain the rules to them because I suspect there's not a lot of people that play Battle Group. And if there are, that's fine, you know. But I'm sure there's a couple of players that might want to play that don't know how to play, and I'm gonna take about 10 minutes to explain how to play, because that's how easy it's going to be. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna kick it off, and about 30 minutes later, the game's gonna be over. That's what I'm afraid of. Because it's such a fast-paced game. Or even failing that, even if it's a 2-hour game, which I'm kind of leaning towards it's probably going to be a 2-hour game. What that means is we could switch sides and play from the other side, but nobody really wants to play the same scenario twice. I mean, I think I might need to have a second scenario ready to go, just in case. I could do a hypothetical, make up a scenario, you know, just spend some points out of whatever my miniature collection is. Or something, you know. I don't think I'm going to do that. Well, let me rephrase that. I think I might do that, but I'm going to play test the scenario here a couple of times with friends. I might even do solo. Just to see how fast the scenario actually is. And if I can get through it solo in 2 hours, okay, the wind must be picking up outside. I just heard something. If I can get through it solo in 2 hours, then that tells me that I have to be ready, because the session they're giving me is a 4-hour session. You know, I don't want to play for 2 hours and then, okay, you guys won, game session over. I'll be like, hey, you guys, I've got a second scenario. Let's do it. There is, on the battlefield that I'm running, right, I'm doing the Lafayette Bridge scenario directly verbatim from the D-Day book, right? It's an 82nd Airborne objective, was this bridge causeway thing, and apparently, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this series, but there is a book series called Skirmish Campaigns. They make scenarios for man-to-man game systems, and it's kind of generic in a way where they just tell you what kind of troops there are and what the battlefield was like, and you just play it out, right? Using whatever system you're using. Well, they have the Lafayette Bridge campaign in that book, and that book has 3 scenarios. It's kind of like a little mini campaign where you can play them back to back, and depending on how you do with the first one will determine what happens in the second one, etc., right? Okay. Well, they're much smaller. They're only like 1 platoon in those battles. I could probably, and 1 platoon's going to go by really quickly in battle group, maybe an hour. And if that's the case, we could do the entire campaign. But there's a problem. The scenario I want to run, or the one I've designed to run, is the final battle, or it's a battle, it's actually not even a final battle, it's a battle like 3 days after D-Day. And it's more like a company scale. Nice. Okay. Now let's do these. So I don't want to run my Lafayette company level game, which is probably going to take 2 hours, and then decide to go back in time and play one of those other platoon level games. Well, for one thing, a platoon scale game doesn't really relate to multiplayers. See, I'm going to have like 6 or 7 players playing, so I need another company level scenario where I can give everybody a platoon. That's my plan. So I might do, not a Pegasus Bridge, that would be just a little bit too big, because that's 6 platoons on the British side. I think I might do a Canadian battle, or maybe do 101st, you know, where they did yeah, the 101st, one of their objectives was to take the road, what do they call those things, where the road from the beach goes up into the mainland. Their objective was to take one of those roadways. And I've got a scenario for that from another man-to-man game that I play, or used to play pretty heavily, I don't play it anymore, called Operation Overlord. Then they updated it with the Russians and then started calling it Operation World War II. It was a good game, but I didn't like the card activation system. At first I thought I was going to like that, because I love games that randomize activations, and you're not, you know, everybody doesn't get to do everything every turn. I like games like that, right? But this one was overly limiting in that you drew a card. You drew cards at the start of your turn, and then based on what those cards said is what you were allowed to do. So like, let's say I drew all my cards and they all said move, right? Then, well, that basically tells me that I can only move. Or it might say fire, and I wanted to move. Well, now I can't move. I have to fire, you know, and that, it basically, it took the, what's the word for it? It took the, there's a word. Player, I can't remember what the word is, but it basically takes the ownership of the game away from the player. So he doesn't get to play his game. He only gets to play what cards he draws. And the mechanics of the game, fine. Shooting, morale, all that stuff, I'm okay with. I just didn't like the way the cards fell. Now, you can modify the game and change the cards, but that was kind of the whole thing behind the game with these cards. So really, you're taking away from the what's the word? From the game, you know, its reason for existing, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so maybe I could, and I've played that scenario with bolt action, and it played really good. So I wonder if I could play that scenario with battle group. I don't think I could. I think it's too small. That roadway, what do they call it? An exit? Maybe they call it an exit. Exit 4 for Omaha Beach or whatever it was. But I can look around. I can find another company scale scenario, and even if we can't, even if I have to pull out some British, you know, play some Canadians, or some British, you know, or some 101st or 82nd. I'm sure I can. Or just tanks. We could play like, doesn't have to be D-Day. It could be Market Garden. Or, you know, something like that. Would be exciting. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago maybe it was, 3 years ago, I played a Market Garden campaign, a mini campaign. We played 3 games simultaneous. So I had the 101st, the 82nd, and the 1st Airborne. They had their own tables, and we lined them up. And it was, you know, a bridge too far kind of deal. And they all happened simultaneously. So we had players, 2 players per table. Basically 1 for the Germans and then 1 for the Allies. Per table. And then it was Mason and myself were running the games. And we would jump around from table to table, explaining how, you know, the scenarios were working and stuff like that, and adjudicating rules questions and stuff. But that went by really well. That was very successful. Everybody enjoyed it. Everybody was having a good time, except for me. I felt like it was too stressful. I was having to deal with 3 tables all at the same time. I had like 300 miniatures on the table and trees and buildings, and because remember I had to set up terrain for 3 tables, and it was too much for me. My mind was exploding. So I basically told myself never again. Now it would have been fine if I had a 3rd referee and then we each took 1 table. But because it was just Mason and myself, and Mason he knows the rules inside and out. We're played bolt action. He knows. But he doesn't know everything because he's a fairly new player. And it wasn't that, and it was partially because I didn't trust him. Because I know he's a new player. Not because I think he would get something wrong or, you know, didn't understand the rules. I just have a hard time opening and letting someone else run my game for me. So that was partially part of my stress, was I'm just too much of a control freak. But if there was 3 of us and we all knew the rules inside and out, we could each take our own table and we could have ran it. I think that would have been fine. But I think I need to come up with a 2nd scenario just in case. And even if I, let's say it takes 2 hours to play the first scenario, it takes me about 10-15 minutes to get everything set up and ready for the 2nd scenario. And we play, and let's say we only get it halfway done. That's okay. We all had a good time. You know, time ran out. That's unfortunate. Too bad. So I'm thinking of making the second scenario maybe just a little bit smaller. Or, well, depending on my playtest, how long it takes to play this Lafir Bridge scenario, depending on how long it takes to play that, will determine if I need to make a bigger scenario or a same size scenario. Probably same size. I don't think I want to go any bigger for the convention. Because, for one thing, I'm not going to gain players for the second half of my session. So I might even lose players. Right? They might play the first game. They win, they lose, they don't like the game system. And they say, I'm going to move on. Some of them might say, man, I love this game, I'm going to stay. Well, yeah, I'm going to play another scenario. That'd be fun. That's what I'm hoping for. And if they do, I'm not going to have more players. I'm going to have the same number. Unless, of course, there's people on the sidelines watching, because a lot of times there are players that just sit around watching games being played, mainly because they're there to learn new game systems, check it out to see if it's any good or not. And they might say, yeah, I'd love to play in the second session. But that's that's an anomaly usually. So I think I need to make it the same size or smaller, depending on how long it takes to play my plates. Yeah, so that's going to be my initial test, is to see how long it takes me to run the game. Now, if I play solo and it takes me 3 hours, let's say, to run through the game, I'm not going to bother with a second game. Even a small one. I'll just spend a little extra time teaching the rules, or I will, do a lot of talking. We'll have a lot of BSing, or whatever, just to kill time, But before I make any of those decisions, I need to play test it and see how long it takes to play. And then add maybe 15 minutes for teaching at the beginning of this game. So if you guys are going to NashCon, hit me up. I'll be glad. I'd love to meet you, for one thing, and I'd also love to have you play in my game. But if you've got other plans and you're not able to play in my game, because there is going to be a bolt action tournament. I remember seeing that on the agenda. If you're more of a bolt action tournament player, which I'm definitely not a tournament player. I really don't like tournaments. The main reason is I play historical games for learning history. Learning what actually transpired at this battle, or that even this battle even did transpire. That's something that I'm interested in. Learning some motivations of why commanders make the decisions that they make, or whatever. I like games that recreate actual battles. But when you're strictly just points, I'm not really into that. I don't mind it. I mean, I'll play it, with my friends, but not at a tournament, because people will the competitive nature of someone that has to pay $50 to join a tournament to win a prize takes a little bit away from my enjoyment of the game. When there are people running around, you know, complaining that you can't spot me because I'm behind this this twig, you know, and I'm like, okay. When I owned my brick and mortar store, I used to own a store here in Clarksville called the War Room. I was what's called a rogue trader, yeah, where Games Workshop offered this program where you could be a like a tournament organizer for their games, and I did. I organized a 40K tournament. We got a hotel ballroom, and we organized, we got t-shirts and everything for the judges. I got a bunch of people that, you know, volunteer to be judges. They all got their own t-shirt, and, you know, and we hung out for the afternoon and we played, and we got these wonderful prizes from Games Workshop. They provided some like trophies and stuff like that, because this was one of their, I don't remember what they used to call it, but they had like a tournament scene, and we were one of those games. We went into the National Registry of Games Won and stuff like that. So there were people that were their armies were specifically designed to win during a tournament. And we had to go through their army lists and make sure everything was legit and all that stuff. But the rules stated that, and this was a rule set up by Games Workshop, that you are not to go through their army list unless there was a complaint. Just let them play with what they got, and if their opponent doesn't complain, then you don't even ever look at their army list. And I was like, really? Okay. And then, which I think we only had one complaint, and we looked at the army list, and it was legit. You know, maybe it was a little overpowered, but that's what the army list said. He could do it, so we allowed it. But we had a painting rule where, and this was, there were players buying figures from me or wherever the night before, like vehicles or whatever. They would assemble them and try to put them on the table as just straight plastic, you know. But we had a rule that didn't allow that. If you wanted to play an army, you had to have at least, and this was kind of a stupid rule. And it's stupid because we had to have the rule, not because the rule was stupid, but because players would always try to get around the rules. We had this rule where the armies had to be fully painted. Okay. And what did that mean? Well, to one guy, that means as long as his entire army is primed, they're all painted. And another guy, he wanted to see the eyeballs painted. You know, he wanted to see every single little bolter painted or whatever. So we came up with this standard, which was you had to have at least 4 colors on your model. And there were players that would only have 4 colors on their models. Because that's all they had to have. And looking back on it, there were some armies that looked like 4 colors would be too many colors, because they would be all black and maybe their bolter would be bolt gun, but that would be it. And that's exactly what they felt like, or Necrons or whatever, they were all metallic. But they still didn't look fully painted when you only have like 4 colors. You got to get in there with like just using this army as an example. I think I used 24 colors on these guys. Literally. There are some things that are brown on these guys. Rifles, boots, hair, okay, rifles, boots, hair, I don't know what else. Oh, yeah, chin straps. There's probably a few other things. That box there. Every one of those has a different brown. Because boots and the rifle, that's not the same brown. I can tell you right now. And then the jacket and the straps, it's all technically khaki, but it's not khaki. Like the gaiters, I used something strange, an army painter color called US Gators. It's up here somewhere. Yeah, US Gators brown, just for the gators. And then his webbing, I used khaki webbing. And then for the jacket, I used stone gray. And then for the like canteens and stuff like that, I did not use this. I did use this khaki, but this is a game color khaki and it's more brown than it should be. So I had to go back and use an older khaki. It's not called a game color, it's called a model color. Yeah, and it's slightly different. But yeah, and then the helmet is olive drab. The bayonet sheath is also olive drab, but it wasn't. It was olive green. Oh yeah, and the handles for the entrenching tool. That was another brown. Okay, I've said enough. And I don't know if you would consider the base coat spray and the top coat sealant to be a color, but they are. Okay, you know what? I might just stop doing this and finish these. I mean, it would probably only take me a few minutes to do it, but I feel like I'm neglecting my the second half of the video that I wanted to show you guys. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the second half of the video in the last 1/4 of the video. Okay, and we'll get to these later, and then I'll shake all these off. Okay, let's see if I can figure out a way to kind of make some room here. Did I go too far? Went too far. Okay, let's just do one click at a time. That doesn't work. Okay. Now this focus control is a little bit finicky right in the area that I need it to focus. But that's all you're getting. Okay, my head's in the way. There we go. Bunch of second rangers. Some little helmet straps. That's just one group, bunch of BARs. Even a grease gun right there, you know. Yeah, I didn't assemble these. He sent them to me pre-assembled. Okay, we got them. Hopefully there's enough room here for me to show. Let's put that in there. Okay, a couple of things right here. You probably didn't notice these. I fell in love with this AK olive drab base, which I've said previously on an earlier video, but so I'm planning on doing some SS, right? So I went through all of my scenario books for Battle Group. I went through all of them, and I looked through all of the pre-printed scenarios and looked at all the different units that I was going to need. I made a list, and then here we go. Let's see if I can move this mic. Maybe it'll help. There we go. So I made a list, and then I said, okay, I need this many Fallschirmjägers. I need this many SS. I need this many Grenadiers. I need this many Panther tanks. I need this many Panzer IVs. I need this many, anti-tank guns or whatever. And I made this long list. And for the British, the Americans, and the Germans, right? Because all my scenario books are West Front, right? So there's D-Day, the hedgerow country, it's beyond the beaches, the Market Garden, and Battle of the Bulge. Those are the 4 scenario books that I have, and that's really what I like to focus on. So there was a couple of scenarios in there, and I knew this because Arnhem had like the 9th and the 10th SS, and if I do like a Panzer, what's the word I'm looking for? If I do like a who's that? What's that Panzer division? Oh, okay. The what's the? It's not the first. Might be the first. Scorzini's group, in the Battle of the Bulge. Those are SS. And then there's the so basically Market Garden and D-Day, not D-Day, Market Garden and Battle of the Bulge, I needed some SS. And so I have some SS miniatures. I think I did a what's in the box for some of my SS miniatures. But I wanted to kind of make sure I had the right kind of paint. There we go. I wanted to make sure I had the right kind of paint, which I'm sure I do. I've got like hundreds of millions of paints, but I wanted to kind of go through AK and kind of see if I would enjoy their paints, because I do enjoy that olive drab. So I ordered the oak leaf, palm tree, and plane tree pattern spring summer Waffen SS paint, and I also ordered the P dot pattern for Waffen SS. Each of these, I mean, that's a good face, right? I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. Each of these have a different design, right, of how I want, and I want to do P dot, I really do, but I also like some of the colors for the oak leaf. I'll probably never do plane tree. I'm sorry, palm tree. I might do plane tree or oak leaf. I might do those because that really kind of looks like P dot, but it's not, right? I know it's not. And the P dot looks more orange, and that looks kind of a mix orange and green. So I might just do this. I don't know. I'll have to take a look. But they each come with 6 paints. And I noticed that they're not all exactly the same. So this is basically 12, because I figured that some of them would overlap. But they don't, which I'm really happy about. But there's Grim Brown, which I was like, what is that? And then there's Chocolate. I was thinking those would be pretty close, but I bet you this Grim Brown, I'm guessing, because I'm going to test all these, that's probably like my old grimy black, because I have this, model Polyus, which is Model Master nowadays, grimy black, which I used to use a lot of this for like tires and stuff like that, but I've kind of moved on to a actual tire color. But that's probably what that is, but I don't know. It says base shadows. And then this says base spots, chocolate brown. See, that says chocolate. That says chocolate brown. This says uniform shadows. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. This says uniform base, mud brown. Base lights, cork. And then you can see those three are all uniform base. Light earth. So there's basically this 3 is the base and this 3 is the base. What I'm kind of gathering is this is the base, this is the dark shadow areas, and this is the raised highlight areas. It's kind of what I'm gathering out of those 3. And then golden olive, light green, golden olive, and then light green dots is actually light green. And then waffen green, which, okay. And then brown spots is orange tan. And then over here we got dark spots, black green. And then dark spots is dark green. They're all slightly different from each other. But I'm going to use these for, and I also thought was kind of interesting. They come in like a little tray. I'm excited. And plus, oh, there's something here. This is called chocolate, but then it says chipping. And when I think of chipping, I think of paint flakes that flake off intentionally to make, it's a weathering technique. But I think what they meant was chocolate chip, because that's, I don't know, like from cooking. And they got like a little example right there. Okay, so we'll get that off. But I did get those in. I don't know if I'm going to do a what's in the box for those, but maybe. Man, how many of these do I got left over? Okay, so. Okay, I haven't cut these open, but I need to cut this open. Okay, these are all rule books and scenario books. I was going to put on the store 100% because I have all of these already personally, except for one, which I think is the Kursk book. Okay, so these are all going to go up for sale on the store, but the main reason why I got them was these have this scenario that I'm going to be running. Okay, I've already got Walked on Rhine as well. I personally don't have Kursk, so that's going to go into my personal collection. And then the rule books. So there should be a couple of rule books, a Overlord, and a Walked on Rhine. I just wanted to get a selection. I didn't want to overdo it and just get every single book. So I got these. These are going to go on the store, but during the convention, I think I'm going to take these with me and sell them at the table, just so that if the player wants a copy of the rules for himself, he certainly can. And this is the book that I'm getting the scenario out of, so that's a good book. Yeah. But I do plan, every time I place an order with Plastic Soldier, I think I'm going to gradually get all the books for the store. I think that's part of my plans going forward. All right, now this is not all Plastic Soldier. I do want to say I did get some orders from another company entirely. And I'm going to show you those real quick. Oh yeah, let me get up. Just a second. Let me go take a step over here. Okay, throw that plastic away. Now you've already seen my P-47, but I made a little flight stand for it, and I also picked up a P-51 Lollipop. This is a red tail, obviously, Tuskegee, right? Those are the two allied planes I'm going to need for my my scenario. Anything pretty much, any of the scenarios in the D-Day area has the P-51 with like 2 bombs, and then the P-47 with like 1,000,000 bombs and rockets. Now those are die cast. Heavy. But I also remembered my my 109. I also picked up a I basically went out to the garage, grabbed one of my flight stands. I just glued it onto a larger base, mainly to protect the plane, and then I magnetized it. So that now the wheels are down on this model. This is a plastic model. The wheels are down. I've considered snipping them off and tucking them under, but then I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave them down. And believe it or not, I've got some 190s on the way. The 190s are impossible to find anywhere in 1/100 scale. But I did, and they're on their way. They're coming from Germany, and they're supposed to be here by the 5th, I think, something like that. All right, so everything, almost everything in this is 1/72. So let me see if I can't tuck it and run. Here we go. And this, I got these so that I personally can compare the manufacturing quality, and I'm only going to sell or collect the best in quality. So I wanted to make sure. So I got some Caesar 1/72 Panzer Grenadiers. Now, it says 300 plus pieces. I know that's a lie. Because you have to assemble the guys. And there's like 1,000,000 different pieces on these guys. So I bet you there's like 50 guys in there. I'm just guessing. Okay. And then these are also German Panzer Grenadiers. These were Winter Greatcoat Eastern Front, and this is Normandy. Okay, so that's my Caesar. And then I also ordered some Heller, right? Heller 48, 101st, right? And then they give some Humbrol colors up there to paint, which I really don't care about. I'll figure this out myself. But Heller is a French company, so I'm excited to see what these guys look like. American paratroopers. and British paratroopers. They got some really good pictures on here. I'm digging the pictures. Okay. So there's Caesar and Heller. And then I even grabbed some Pegasus, right? This is Waffen SS Set 1, Kursk. And then also Fallschirmjägers. I used to have this set a long time ago. I painted them up and sold them. Yeah. 46 and 40. Showing some of the poses. And then I picked up something from IMEX. Just says World War II, German troops. And they give some Humbrol colors. I wonder what these guys look like. The IMEX looks like it's in Brooksville, Florida. I have high hopes, but I might be disappointed with those guys. Mars. Yes, I ordered some Mars. U.S. Rangers on D-Day. There's only 8 poses, but there's 40 figures. And there's the 8 poses right there. And they all look good. There's going to be a lot of guys with Bangalores. A lot of guys with, looks like a mine on a stick. Yeah. And a lot of them have their little, what do they call that thing? Their life preserver. I like the sniper though. Okay, but we'll have to take a look to see what quality those guys are. And then Armor Fast. These guys have been around a while. Armor Fast, not their infantry, but their armor, it's specifically designed. Their model kits are only like 3 pieces. It's like you put the turret on the hull, you put the tracks on the sides, and you're done. It's a way to get armor on the table fast. So I wonder, this is a mortar, these are mortars, World War II German mortar team. You know, when I saw this, I was thinking it's got to be an SS. You know, Panzer Grenadier of some kind. It says it comes with 4 mortars. What kind of mortar? It looks like it's probably an 80. We'll have to see. Okay, so those are my 1/72 out of this box. But in addition to that, I grabbed some Flames of War 251s. That's going to be a video. Some Jeeps. I really like the Jeep models. We got our M5s, but not just M5s. I've also got my M8 howitzers, looks like. Hopefully, if it's like the Shermans, I'll be able to make both turrets and then swap them out using magnets. We're going to figure that out. See if that's a possibility. And then I got the Armored Rifle Platoon. So this has got a bunch of half tracks, and then the infantry squads, the bazooka teams, it looks like. There's a lot of bazookas over there. The machine guns, and then the platoon leader. Now, of course, this is set up for Flames of War, which is not necessarily... Oh, looks like a mortar team in the back. Yeah, which is not necessarily the battle group, but we'll figure that out. Okay, and that's the last thing out of this box. Let's put all this back. I've had these for about 3 or 4 days now, and I have not filmed any videos. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on a medicine for my stomach. I have that medicine that I take makes me extremely drowsy, right? And so, like last night, I was, around dinner time, I was like, yeah, tonight I'm gonna do this video. I'm gonna do these videos. I'm gonna do a bunch of these. What's in the box videos, and we're gonna knock them out. And then around 9 o'clock, I said to myself, I'm going to bed. So I went to bed. Oh. Okay, now here's the Plastic Soldier Company box. Okay, I don't know if you can see that box. You probably can on the video. No, you can't. There's no way. And I'm not turning the camera either. But the box is torn up. The box is all bent out of shape. I mean, this is the shipping box. All right, here we go. I got it. Let's just pull this one out first. Can you see that? That's how I pulled it out of the box. I'm sure I can put all the figure stuff in and refold this and see how that is all torn up. I'm sure I can organize it and get it all fixed up and straighten out the box and stuff, which I probably am going to have to do. But 15 millimeter T-34s. Now, I don't plan to do anything with these ever. These are going up for sale. 99% of the order is for sale. But there is a few pieces in here I'm keeping for myself. Like that Kursk book. Here's some Waffen SS. This is part of their 20 millimeter, which is not 1/72nd. It's pretty close though. But they're almost exactly. But this is ultra cast. These guys are not. These are like their soft plastic guys. They're SS in the late war, and they're 20 millimeter, and it says it comes with like 3 HQ, 3 NCO. When it says HQ, I'm thinking officer. 12 riflemen, Panzerfaust, walking light machine guns, and prone light machine guns. And it also says it's compatible with battle group. So what I'm thinking is this is a SS platoon in 1/72nd. And I was thinking I was going to put those together and base them individually. That's what I'm thinking. Probably for my personal collection, just depending on what they look like. Now here's a Russian anti-tank gun, 75 millimeter. This says 28 millimeter. That was, I got excited when I saw that Plastic Soldier had some 28 millimeters because you could use this for bolt action. 15 millimeter 250 new half tracks. We've already done a couple of reviews of other manufacturers. I want to do this because I plan to make an Aufklärungs battalion personally. And then there's my Fireflies. Now, how many Shermans do I really need? I don't really need a bunch of Shermans, but I did need some British Fireflies So I figured, why not get them? You know what that probably means is some of my Shermans that I already have made are probably going to go for sale. Because I don't need hundreds and hundreds of Shermans. There's the Steyr. 15 millimeter, right? 15 millimeter? Yep, 15 millimeter. There's 5 of them. How many do I need? Like maybe 2. So I'll put these together and paint them, and then sell the ones that I don't need, right? So look forward to those going up for sale. Same thing with the Fireflies. Well, maybe not. I don't know how many Fireflies I need. I think I need 3. I might need 4. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Some more 15s. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. This did not come in a box. This came in a bag. Right? Stug. 15M Stug. So I think that means 15 millimeter Stug. It definitely looks like a 15 millimeter Stug. I'm seeing 2 holes on 1 sprue. Okay, these holes are a little different, so I'm gonna have to look to see how it's putting it together. It looks like it might be the G and the L. I'm not exactly sure, but then there's skirts in, and you got like 3 different guns. There's only 1 set of tracks, so it's definitely a 3. That's not a 4. So there's a variety of different Stug versions, like the F8 or the G. I'll have to take a look. We'll have to figure that one out. Okay. I also got another bag of half tracks. I think there's 5 in here. There are 5 sprues, so half track options, and 5 half tracks. Okay. But it seems British. And the reason why I say that is the passengers that they have in here have the Doughboy helmet. So I'll probably either not use them or just use the drivers. Or use them and say, so what, right? They got the Doughboy helmet. That just means they're early. But if they're M5, isn't that late? I mean, I could be wrong. I thought the M3 was early and the M5 was late. So that's probably supposed to be British. I'll have to do a little research on that. Here's another bag. Now, these are 1/72nd. Or maybe they're not. Hell, these might be 28s. No, they're definitely not that big. So these guys must be 20s. German infantry. Looks like 3 sprues. It's probably a platoon of Germans in 1/72nd. Probably. Massive vehicle, 1/72nd T-34, and it looks like 3 of them. 3 1/72nd T-34s. Doesn't look complicated, just looking at 1 sprue. Tracks, sides, hull, turret, whatever that is. Tank commander. That looks like it goes on the back of the hull. Hatches. Ammo barrels. Extra tracks. Looks like those are going to go together really easily. 1/72nd. I do plan to build the 1/72nd guys and sell them painted. Right? Okay. Here's another bag. This looks like 15 millimeter Tiger. Okay, there's 4 sprues. So there's probably 4 tigers in there. How many tiger 1s do I need? 1. Out of all the scenarios that I've looked at, I only need 1 tiger. So I think I might put the other 3 together and, or the other 3, yeah, the other 3 together and sell them. So I'll like do all 4 at the same time and then keep 1 and sell the rest. That's my plan. But just so you guys know ahead of time, I am going to put them, all of these on my store complete. Like this bag on the store, this bag on the store. And then gradually as time goes by, I'm going to go to see what I've got on the shelf and say, oh, I got this pack of T-34s. Let me pull this off of the store and work on it. So if you want these intact, they're going to go on the store, you know, before I start like pulling them and painting them. Okay, these British paratroopers, 15mm, I already have a pack of these personally, so that's going to go up on the store. I have British Paratrooper Heavy Weapons. I have this pack. Personally as well. Late U.S. Infantry. These are all 15s. I have that pack. Okay, there's now this one I don't have. Okay, did you need anything?
No, I just went to get gas and $50 to fill that car up.
Oh my gosh.
It used to never cost me over 30.
Right.
Now it's 50.
Is it like $4.50 a gallon?
It's $4.30 right now.
$4.30.
That's crazy.
Oh, okay. Hang on. These are late war British, but these are 172nd. Okay. Little window into your soul. Okay. Might have to start putting some of this back in the box because it's getting a little crowded. Open box. Okay. I think it's okay though. 15s. These are 231 armored cars. I guess this is the predecessor to the Puma 234 series. This is the 231 series when they were still in the desert, right? Are there some variations? Options for the 232 radio, 233 Stummel, which I think is the gun, and then 263 command versions. And then early war, late war. Okay. Okay. Let's grab this. 28mm. Ooh, 28mm. It's bolt action. I'm not going to base them like this. I'm going to base them just like bolt action would base Russian infantry heavy weapons. So machine guns, anti-tank rifles, mortars. What is that, a light mortar? I'm not sure what that is. What's this guy doing? Okay, 4 Maxims, 250s, 282s, and 2 anti-tank rifles. Oh, and they're pulling it along. That's pretty cool. 28mm. Oh, that's just binos and him pointing. It doesn't say it's for battle group, because battle group specifically says 20 and 15s. I don't see why you couldn't play 28's battle group in 28. Okay, let's start trying to put this back in the box as I go. How about that? British 6-pounders with Lloyd carrier. Is that the Lloyd carrier? Oh, interesting. Kind of looks a little bit like a Bren gun carrier, but different. Russian uniform? Wait, what? Russian uniform? English uniform, Russian uniform. Okay, they're just painting their helmets in Russian uniform? Wait. Uniform, English uniform. Webbing, Russian uniform. Helmet, olive gray. And Russian uniform. Now here's the 15mm Russian infantry in summer uniform. 130 figures. There you go. .45 riflemen and submachine gunners. 6 light machine guns. Okay, 15mm German trucks. Now I've already done a what's in the box on this. You get 5 trucks, and you, depending on what hood you put on there, and you can also make Malteers. So it's really a large variety of things. You can 5 Opals, Mercedes, or Malteers. 2 different cargo beds, and a canvas tilt, which I would just consider a cover, but you know, it might be a British term. That's not it. I still got 4 more things in there. I'm just making room. Okay, this is a big box, but it's still only 15mm Panthers. I'm excited. Look at all that foliage. I can make either the D, A, or G. I'm going to do the G. Everybody knows. Figures are unpainted and unassembled. What? Also 15s. Pack 40s and RSOs. You can even make an RSO with a Pack 40 on it. 8 models and 32 figures. So I bet you it's 4 of those and 4 of those. Yep, 4 Pack 40s, 4 Roppin Schleppers. I call that RSOs. Oh wait, each sprue contains options for the Pack 38 and Pack 79. Wait. Each sprue contains options for the Pack 38 and Pack 97. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to get those. Okay. What's a Pack 97? Okay, this box is falling apart. Okay, trying to put it back together. Yep. This, okay. 1/72nd scale. 3 vehicles, 24 crew, M5s. But this one specifically says, you can see the Doughboy helmets. This one specifically says 24 British Commonwealth crew figures. 8 per vehicle. So this might just be an upscaled version of the one in the Ziploc. Okay, 2 more things. Here we go. Last one. 1/72nd U.S. Infantry. I noticed that the red is 1/72nd. The blue is 28. And the green is 15 millimeter. That's something cool to learn. Or black. Black is 15 millimeter. Right? Yeah. So they've color coded them. That's something I just learned. 1/72nd, right? Okay, this comes with 4.2 mortars, 81s, 60s. So all the mortars are covered. And all the machine guns. You got the Modus, the 1919, and the 1917. And 1/72nd. Okay. Okay, and then here, let me see if I can't organize this back in the box. Now knowing that they're color coded, it'll be a lot easier for me to figure out what's what. Now I think they're transitioning to bags for the majority of their stuff. I guess the boxes were just costing too much. Yep, black, black, black. That's a very small box. And then this, that's weird. What did I say? Blue is 28. Yep. Okay. All right, and the last thing is the Mortem et Gloriam compendium, which I already have the rule book. I bought the cards and the dice separately. I bought the rules, the dice, and the cards separately. But, okay, let's, get out of the way. But my understanding is this box set has the rules, the dice, and the card set included. So we're about to find out. I'm going to do, oh, what is this? See, now this is what there is a bag. Okay, that is nice. dice, cards, which I bought separately. So I already have those. But I also bought the quick reference sheets separately. So I already have these. Basically, I had everything that I needed to play except for these, which you don't have to have to play. You can make your own or use your own. Yep, that's the exact same rulebook I already have. Okay. So this is what I'm going to tell you. A set of dice, a set of cards, and a rule book, and the quick reference tables are all going on the website for sale. And I'm just going to keep this. Alright, so over the next few days, I'm going to have to be uploading stuff to the store, and I'll also be doing those what's in the box videos. I've got a lot of boxes, which is going to hold me over for at least a month or two. Alright, so what time is it? 1:19? Alright, so you guys have stuck it out with me till the end. We normally go to about 1 o'clock. Thank you for coming out and watching this video. Hey, if you like videos like this, be sure to like the video. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I go live or upload videos. Let me talk about magnets real quick, specifically because of those M8s and some other Shermans and stuff like that. I ordered a set of magnets from Magcraft, right? These magnets are 3.2 millimeter. So what they wound up being is just a little bit too small in the diameter, right? And then they're also thickness-wise 1.6 millimeters. You could almost just say 2 millimeters. 1.6 millimeters, which is too thick for my tanks. I tried putting the magnet down inside the tank. They are almost as big as the inner circle, so they would fall all the way through, and they're not, and they're too tall. So if I move them off to the side, or try to glue them in a little bit off center or whatever, they stick up too far, so that when you got your hull and you put your turret on, it sits too tall. It doesn't sit down on the tank like it's supposed to. So great magnets, wrong size. Okay, so I got some 5mm magnets. Oh, yeah. And everything's stuck to it because they're magnetized. Okay. I got some 5mm magnets right there. These 5mm magnets don't fit into the turret hole. There's on the hull, there's like a disc, and the magnet's supposed to fit down inside there. The website, Flames of War website, says 5mm. These magnets say that they're 5mm. They might not be. They might be just slightly larger than 5, but they say they're 5mm. When I put them against my measurement here, they look a little bit larger than 5mm. Doesn't want to stick to this. Maybe this isn't, maybe it's aluminum. Yep, they're 5.5. So they're a little bit bigger than 5mm, and they don't want to fit down inside the turret. I could drill out the turret a little bit, which I did. I've been drilling it out and then sticking them in, and that works. But I didn't want to have to go through that step. I didn't want to have to drill out anything. So I went looking for more. I found that this company offers they offer well, these are N40s, huh? Okay, I thought they were N55s. N40 is still pretty good, because these guys are like N32s. I thought they made a 3/16 magnet, which is just under 5mm, right? It's like 4.7 or I don't remember, but so I said, okay, if I get those, they should fit in there no problem, right? Even if they're a little bit larger than they advertise, they should fit in there no problem. So I ordered a set. Here's the clincher. I went back in to check my order, and I noticed I didn't order 3/16. I ordered 1/8. Yeah, 1/8 is like these guys. These are 1/8, pretty much. The 3.2mm. So I made a mistake and double ordered these. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go back to my tried and true, my magnet company of choice. There's this company here called K&J Magnets. I've ordered from them in the past. These are neodymium. They're also N52s, which is like super strong. And you can order them 1 at a time, 10 at a time, whatever. And the 1/32 thickness is what I want, but the 1/8, these 1/8s are just way too thin, circle-wise. I mean, they're just like those other ones. They're just too thin. So I saw that they sell 3/16. So I ordered from K&J 3/16 by 1/32. N52s. So I'm going to get a bunch of magnets in that I don't need. But I can use them in things like the way I did my 109, my airplane. That I used one of those other magnets, one that size didn't matter, right? So, all right, well, I'm going to let you guys go. it was wonderful streaming for you guys today. Look forward to seeing some upcoming videos. The next boot camp video should be coming up soon as well. It's going to be the special abilities video, and then the one right after that will be aircraft, air attacks, I think. Special abilities, and then aircraft. And then after that, I think all the basic rules will be out of the way, and everything from there on will be scenario specific. So you'll be able to play after the next two videos. All right, guys. Oh yeah. Just so those chits, right, for battle group, I'm going to print off the chits, and then I'm just on paper, doesn't matter what they are on, and then I'm going to cut them out, and I'm going to glue them to a wood square, right? So the bag is going to have literal, maybe they could be circles, actually. Maybe I could put some wooden nickels. No, I think I'm going to put squares. And then you can draw them out and stack them on the side. They're going to be thick wood counters, and on one side it'll say nothing, 0, blank, and on the other side it'll have the chit just glued on and sealed onto the wood. So I'm going to make my own wood chits. They're not going to be, I thought about making them into playing cards and having a deck on the side and drawing from the deck, which I might still do, actually. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Good night.